My next guest is an expert in subconscious transformation and facilitates deep healing through embodiment practices. Please welcome Mastery Certified Coach Melissa Byers. Welcome to the Powerful Female Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Anna Patricia Bourgeois, certified business coach. I am here to help you up-level, generate consistent wealth, increase your confidence, attract dream clients, and master your mindset so that you can fully own your power and achieve next level results in your online business and beyond. Every week, a powerful conversation will take place with amazing guests, or I'll share from my experience to help inspire you to start and scale the business of your dreams while being powerfully you. The time has come to stop playing small, stop hiding, and stop waiting. Now is the perfect time for you to passionately pursue your heart's desire as the powerful leader you were born to be. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Female Leaders Podcast. I am here today with the one and only Melissa Byers. How are you?
Oh, goodness. I know we just tapped in for like a few minutes there. I'm just feeling the rush and the energy. I'm so excited to just allow this to all unfold. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. We're so excited.
Yeah. So Melissa's been on the podcast in the first season.
Woohoo!
She's in the top 10 most listened to episodes. And when
Ooh.
she saw me launch the second season, she's like, girl, I want to be back. And I said, of course, I want you back. So here we are.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, yeah, I saw that right away and I was like, sign me up, girl. Like, sign me up. When, where, send me all the information. Let's work together. Let's just create magic.
Yeah, you're honestly amazing. Like every time I talk to you, I grow, I learn, I get this energy. I'm just so excited to be here.
I feel the exact same way about you. Like, just to see your evolution in such a short period of time. People look on the outside,
Yeah.
believe that you're just moving at rapid speed, but I know that you've been doing a lot of work and a lot of untangling and refining. So I just want to say I see you too,
Yes.
girl, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Um,
So, yeah, like give us a refresher. Like, who is Melissa? What does she do? Who does she help?
oh goodness, I love this. It's always like, well, where because I know that when we did this before, I
Yeah.
share a little bit of my story when it came to when I was 24 to
Hmm.
34 and all of the unraveling in that. So, this year, since I've been on the podcast has been a lot of refining, right?
Hmm.
And there's been a lot of depth and a lot of moments where I'm like, what WTF? Like, what am I doing? Right? Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure you can feel
Yeah.
that too. But, and when it comes to my vision, because I'll start there, it's really important too, is that I love, like, my vision is to guide women in embodying their truth from a deep
Hmm.
level of self-trust so they can embrace the polarities of life and business, and
Hmm.
when I started back a year ago, not when I started, but when you and I had this conversation a year ago, it was more so just leading women. So I had a vision, right? There was a vision, but I knew that there was a lot of, untangling, and I didn't really have much clarity around who. And what I found over time, just with coaching my clients and doing my own work as well, is that I really wanted to support people and just women in particular and feeling worthy, right?
Hmm.
In stepping into their truth, but doing it from a place of self-trust. Because I
Hmm.
often say too, is that we all have a voice.
Hmm.
We all have a voice. But what's really important in this is that when we use our voice, we do it in a way that supports us, where we feel authentic, but we're also giving back in a way that's being a person of service, right?
Hmm.
So I often say to my clients too, is that you have a responsibility when you use your voice. It's not you just use your voice and then all of a sudden you just walk away.
Hmm.
Right? It's important to take radical responsibility by how you use that voice, especially when you're standing in your leadership, especially while you're standing in your truth, because you're giving the voice to other people that aren't necessarily standing in their truth. So you're being their voice. You're doing it for them. So they can unconsciously see that and they can slowly take the steps
Mm-hmm.
that they need to take in order to get there. Because if they see evidence that they're doing it, then they know that they can do it too. But I also say there's the other side of the coin, right? Especially when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to polarities, is there's the other side of the coin is when you speak your truth, be ready. Be ready for people
Mm.
to come at you because they obviously hold a different perception. Their beliefs are completely different. Maybe they just don't align with what you're sharing in that moment. But be ready as a leader to communicate in a way where you're still holding compassion, you're still holding grace. And
Mm.
that's so important, especially as we're standing in our leadership, especially when we're living in our truth, especially when we're unraveling it all, is that we see people for where they're at, but we're not saying that we're better than.
Mm-hmm.
It's never about that. It's just seeing them for where they're at. And if
Mm-hmm.
and if they're hurt by something that you have said, then just hold compassion. I
Mm.
think I don't know how I got here, but I got passionate. But I just think it's important because we're using these platforms now, especially as coaches,
Yeah.
to share that, to be that person for someone. So there's always two sides of the coin. I think it's important to see both as we evolve, as we step into, who we were meant to be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is so good. This is what I was saying, guys. Like, what?
I love you.
I love this conversation so much. And yeah, like compassion is everything. And I feel like this is what's lacking a lot in the industry. And yeah, like we need leaders like you to really like talk about it and like be that
Mhm,
light. So I
mhm,
really appreciate that.
mm.
Um so I follow you religiously on Instagram, obviously, because your page is amazing. What you say is amazing, and I love this post that you made where you talked about like your power comes from your stillness. Like even when you're still, you're
Mhm.
still moving. So can you talk about those two
Yes.
polarities?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I actually did a leadership training the other day for one of my groups, and I talked about the power of stillness. And I don't think we give
Hmm.
enough credit to it. Is because
Yeah.
oftentimes, when we're in the busyness of life and we're doing all the things that we need to do, we forget that it's important to come home to ourselves. Right. So we're not
Hmm.
really necessarily honoring ourselves. And honoring ourselves mean we're actually sitting back and we're tapping in and we're giving ourselves the nourishment, sorry, and nurturing ourselves. And it's
Hmm.
so important. It's
Yeah.
so important to see that. And that can happen through meditation, right? Because in the stillness, we're still moving. And I love that. So what I mean by that is if we're just sitting here, right? Just I'm going to slow this down a little bit because I like
Hmm.
to slow things down. If we're sitting here, and this is usually a tool that I use too, is when I'm sitting here, right? And I'm just honoring myself and I have my own back. And this is a tool that I use, and whoever's listening right now can tap into it as well. Is when we're going through a lot, and there's the busyness and chaos, right? I usually say, I know you're scared right now, just like a little child. It's kind of innocent. I get playful with it, and I say, well, Melissa, I know you're scared right now, and I know there's a lot going on in your life, and you're feeling overwhelmed. But I just want you to know that I'm safe. That
Hmm.
you're safe. Sorry, that you're safe. That I love you. That I see you, and you know that all of this, all of what you're experiencing right now, it will get better. But just allow yourself to be here right now. Just nourish yourself. And you'll know when the energy will start leaving your body
Hmm.
when you don't feel the heaviness on your shoulders. You're not feeling a contraction in your body anymore.
Hmm.
That's what I mean when I'm saying sit in the stillness because you're still moving, you're still evolving. It's not
Hmm.
oftentimes what we do is that we do things in order to feel worthy, right? We do things in
Hmm.
order to feel worthy. But we're doing the complete opposite because obviously we were born inherently worthy, but knowing that is about being with ourselves.
Hmm.
It's a lot of untangling, of course. I always talk about that. It's not linear, but that's what I mean about sitting in the stillness. You're still moving, you're still honoring yourself, you're still having your own back, and you're nourishing yourself in the moment. Because from this place, Anna, from this
Hmm.
place, you're so much more powerful, right? You're
Yeah.
not you're not projecting all your BS on someone. Right? You can go out in the world and you can feel empowered. You can make
Yeah.
decisions that align with you. So, and that's just how I see it. That's Yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, like I love that so much. And I feel like it's such a challenge. Like when
Yeah.
you're so much like in the go, 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 do, do,
Mhm.
do.
Mhm.
Like that's been the biggest challenge for me. It's just like to sit back and be like, let's take a breather. Let's just go inwards. Like that's been the huge, like biggest shift ever.
Yeah, and
For
and
sure.
I think I wrote this morning too. I said, like, our journey is a work of art,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, it's having an intimate experience with ourselves. There's
Yeah.
there's depth and there's expansion, and many times it's wobbly and it's really unknown. But evidence
Yeah.
will come over time, right? Evidence will come over time. And even with me and my experience is that I didn't have anyone that went in front of me. I wasn't following anyone in particular. I just knew in the depths of my soul that I was meant for this because I started 3 years ago. The coaching industry wasn't what it is now, what it was back then. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
very different, right? So back then, people didn't understand me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just planted the seed, I grew the crop, and then over time, I just allow it to nourish. I mean, I nourished it and it just grew over time,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
So beautiful. I love that so much. And yeah, like I love like the topic around self-trust as well. And then like when you trust
Mhm.
yourself, when you're safe in your body, you also
Mm.
take major action. And this is where I see the disconnect most of the time is like the clients who come to me and they're like, "Oh, but do I need to do this?" And they get very in their heads about things,
Mhm.
and I'm like,
Mhm.
just take a breather. Like, it's all going to be
Mhm.
okay. Trust yourself and then,
Mhm.
take the action. So, like, what would you say to those people who are like very much in their heads right now and like they're having like this disconnect?
Yeah, I love that. Can I go back to self-trust really quickly? Because I love
Yeah.
do you okay. Because what I say about self-trust is about doing the thing you said you would do despite the feeling that's happening in the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's about doing it even though you don't feel good, because then it's going back to honoring yourself, right? That's about
Mm-hmm.
self-trust. That's what I think people are missing. And I know that you tapped
Mm-hmm.
on that too. And I think that's really important. And I also want to speak on safety one more thing too, is that when I was giving the example of, nourishing yourself, I gave the
Mm-hmm.
example of speaking to yourself as if you're speaking to like the innocent part of you, the little child that's in you that just wants attention, that just wants to be seen. That's where we start to create that safety within our nervous system, right? That's where we start
Mm-hmm.
to build that self trust. So that tool is so powerful, and there's a lot more depth to it. But if we can just practice that every single day, not in the moments when we feel the chaos and we just feel like we can't have a grip of anything, and all of a sudden we're trying to use a tool and we're like, this isn't working. it's
Yes.
not. It's about building, because embodiment, and I do want to go back to that question, sorry, Anna. Embodiment,
Mm-hmm.
right, takes 300 times for neurotransmitters in your body, right? The neural pathways, 300 times for anything to change.
Mm.
And people are wanting things at the click of a button because society has taught us that that is the way. And if we click a button, then we're going to receive the package at our front door and we're going to be excited. And then what? A few hours later, we forgot we even purchased the package and then we're back to square one. Right? So
Yeah.
that is too. So it's, embodying it over and over and over again. A pattern takes 4 months, one pattern alone to change. So, this is going back to grace, giving yourself compassion, doing one tool. It's not about having 100 tools. It's about mastering 2 to 3 tools every single day. The tools that support you, because oftentimes we're gripping, especially as coaches. What's the new tool? What's the new thing? How can I support my client? How can I support myself? And it's like, whoa, there's the mind, right? Going back to your question, there's the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, no, lean back, find the tools that support you, right? Do them every single day,
Mm-hmm.
test them out, get curious, and then you'll start to feel that sense of safety, that sense of belonging, that sense of freedom.
Mm.
And your body will tell you that way before your mind will. So when it comes to people in the mind, going back to your question, the looping process. And what I often say is that whatever your mind is saying yes to, your body's saying no to.
Mm.
So what people don't realize is that the body holds the
Yeah.
intelligence. The body speaks to you, but it speaks in, let's give an example of English, while the mind speaks French,
Mm.
right? So it's so important to build an intimate relationship with the both of them.
Yeah.
Because then this way, when life happens, when pressure happens, right, you can find a tool that will support you in bringing those two languages together. Because that's where the intimacy grows. That's where the relationship grows. And that's what I often ask people in my one-to-one containers. I say, what's your relationship with insecurity, as an example,
Mm.
right? What's your relationship with money? Because then the body's going to tell us, oh, you're saying, oh, my relationship is fine with money. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Your body's like, hell no. Contraction, shoulders are down. You're like, no, 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 nope.
Yeah.
Like it's not happening. So it's really important when the narratives come up, and a lot of they're going to come up in the mind. They're just narratives, they're just stories, just misunderstandings that we held on to,
Mm-hmm.
held on to for a very long time. But allow your body, which takes time, allow your body to do the talking. And then when you can connect the body and the mind over time, you will start again to feel safe, and you will start to feel organically free. It's a process.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time, but again, whatever your mind is saying yes to, your body will say no to. Your body
Mm.
speaks the language that your mind can't.
Wow. Yeah. Like, so how do you start to shift what happens in your mind? Like, how do you start to reprogram that?
I love that. Awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Awareness is the first step to change. And there's different levels of awareness too when it comes to it. We do a lot of mindset work. That's the first thing that we do, right? And it depends. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's mindset around money, there's mindset around relationships, and what's happening in one area obviously is happening in all areas. But we work on the patterns. We
Mm-hmm.
work on the patterns first, especially when it comes to the narratives, because there's a lot of things that come up with the narratives, and as a result, you'll see it in the patterns. So that's the behavior.
Mm.
So, I know it's a hard question because there's so many moving parts to that. And like because like the methodology that I use in particular is I move them from awareness to acceptance to aligned action. So there's never just the narrative, it's the narrative to the feeling, because I really connect the both. Like I don't just do the narrative, I connect the body as well.
Yeah.
Depending, because sometimes if they don't feel safe in their body, it takes 8 to 10 weeks alone for you to feel safe in your body, not even addressing the
Wow.
trauma itself, right? So when I do it, it's a slow process in the mind. So it's just getting curious. Let me do this as an answer. I just get a little bit curious with my clients when they first come into my containers, whether it doesn't matter where they're at. We just get curious and we see what's going on and how they're living and in the system that they're operating out of. And I just support them in untangling the narratives. And then
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes when we're like 4 or 5 sessions in, that's where I'll start slowly connecting the body. So then they can
Mm.
start to see where the narratives came from. I know I probably a better answer out there somewhere, but that's that's what I do. It's not like affirmations, it's none of those things,
Yeah.
but it's an untangling process, and but real changes behavior. So, they can have we
Yeah.
can work on the mind all you want, and but if you're not actually changing the patterns itself, then the mind's just going to continue perpetuating the same stories over and over again. So it is a process of, again, untangling. Hope that supported you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, this is awesome. And like if you have the chance even like to sit with Melissa for like an
Yes,
hour or something, like she's gonna change your
I
life
love you.
forever.
I love you. Still
So
learning, still learning a lot. Trust me.
yeah, but like honestly, you're just amazing at what you do. And I want you to brag a little. Like I want you to share with us like a
Mm.
story of a client result or your own results, like what happened in your life since you've been doing this work.
Oh my gosh, there's been so many. One of my
Yeah.
clients in particular, she's a powerhouse. One of the things is that she had a specific goal when it came to obviously making a certain amount of money. Because every time someone comes into my container when they're coaches, they want to make 20,
Mhm.
30, 40,000 for various reasons of their own, right? So
Mhm.
we did a lot of untangling and unraveling too, is that we just noticed that there was a lot of, the scarcity mindset that was happening, right? The
Mhm.
scarcity mindset. But what happened is that she didn't feel safe enough to make that amount of money. She didn't feel safe
Mm.
enough in her body. So she thought, people aren't scared of failure, they're scared of success. So she
Yeah.
was scared that, she was a mother, she was an incredible partner. She takes care of the children. She runs a business. At the time, she was actually running a cleaning business too. So she thought the more I do, the less time I'll have with my children. So she didn't feel safe to move forward. So there was a lot of narratives at play, and then her body, as a result, didn't feel safe to receive $20,000, as an example.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
we did a lot of work, obviously, together, and there was a lot of things that came up from the past, which often it does, and a lot of realizations and a lot of things she started to see and wake up to. And by the end of our container, she started making that amount of money.
Oh, wow.
So she started using her voice more, standing in her power. There was a lot of her leaning back because she had a lot of masculine energy as well, so leaning back in her feminine power. Now she actually teaches energetics, just as a result of what she experienced, and obviously the results that she got as well. But there's been, that's one of them.
Yeah.
That's one of them. She's very powerful. I'd check her out too. She's very powerful.
Wow. That's amazing. Like, congratulations. Like, that's
She did
awesome.
it. I never take credit. I was just the guide. I always say that. I say, you're the hero and I'm the guide.
Yeah.
You're the hero.
Yeah.
I'm the guide. You wear the cape. I'll guide you and then you get to fly after. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Love it. So, you know this by now, and I ask this to everyone who comes on this podcast.
Mhm.
What does being a powerful leader mean to you?
Seeing people for where they're at, seeing them in their wholeness, compartmentalizing your own experiences and your own beliefs and your own ways of being, and just coming into your containers and seeing person
Mm,
as whole, being there for them, and God, and leaning into their vision, believing that their
yeah.
vision is your vision, and really supporting them and elevating that. I think that is true leadership. And there's a lot of other things that I could add to that, but I truly believe it's important to see people in their
Yeah.
wholeness,
Oh, I
yeah,
love that.
that feels good for me.
You're so precious. I wish I could hug you in real life one day.
I love it. We'll hug each other virtually. My arms are open, so let's do it.
Yeah. So, do you have, any last piece of wisdom that you'd like to share today?
Life is a journey, and I think
Hmm.
oftentimes is that we always want to get to this specific place. We believe that it's going to give us something. But when we're
Mm,
there, we look back and we wish that we experienced the journey along the way. So the one thing I would say, encourage you to do is to, take your time. Just like I said, sitting in the stillness, take your time, embrace all of the moments. And how I do this with me and my children is I just sit there and I just stare at them. And I think, in the next 10 to 20 years, they're going to be this age and this age. And I just take that moment in and I just compartmentalize it, because when I'm older, I'm going to look
mm,
back and really look at those moments and be like, this was the journey. It's not about having to grocery shop or having to, do this, do that, do this, clean the house, whatever my roles are as a mother and businesswoman. It's about being in the moments, because that's living. That is true living. And I have so
mm.
many of those compartmentalized in my head. So when I can look back, I'm not going to look back and be like, well, I wish I signed up or attracted 20 clients, or I wish I went on 30 podcasts, or I wish I made $50,000 a month, right? No, it's the experiences and the journey. Those wins are good, but then there's always more. And it's beautiful
Mm,
to want more, and it's beautiful to experience more, because that's why we're here. But please, please, please take a moment to just be in the journey, and learn how to love many moments of them.
Oh, this is so good. Thank you for sharing that. I needed this reminder, definitely.
So do I. So do I. I think we all do. I do it a lot too, and sometimes I get caught up myself. I'm not gonna pretend
Yeah.
or create this facade that I'm someone that I'm not. It happens. We're human, but I have learned
Yeah.
to be in it, to be in the stillness, and that's probably because of my somatic therapy training, and to learn to slow
Yeah.
down. So I'm happy. I'm happy with everything that's unfolding.
Yes, love it. So, where can people go to connect with you further
Ooh,
online?
yes, come. Join my world and I'll come in yours. So it is on Instagram. Melissa, Melissa.K.Byers.
Mhm.
So send me a message if there was anything in particular that you loved. I would love to connect with you. On Facebook, it's Melissa Byers. So same thing, Melissa, and then Byers. I also have a private community that's just slowly, organically growing. People just add themselves in, which I love. That is called Healers Rising. So
Yes.
all about Healers Rising, conscious leadership, personal power, somatic body integration, and so much more.
Yes. I love your group. Like, it's such an empowering place to be, for sure.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me. It's been a year. It's been a year. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So go follow Melissa, go join her group. She's amazing. Thank you again for being here for a second time. This is such an
Thank you.
honor.
Woo! Thank you. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, and yeah, hopefully you can be back next year. Why not?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Love
I
you. Bye.
love you, girl. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Powerful Female Leaders podcast. If you love this episode, make sure to spread the message, leave a review, and subscribe. I would forever be grateful for you. I also want to hear from you, and I want to know your feedback and your questions for future episodes. So don't be shy, say hi, and send me a message at Powerful Female Leaders Podcast on Instagram. Until then, I'll see you on the next episode.